Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Barcelona for the season finale of the 2020 Euroformula Open. Today, we will conduct round number 7 of the championship. 2 races coming up. This, however, to form the grid for the first race tomorrow. We had 2 qualifying sessions yesterday, so the grids for today are already set. This will set the grid for race number 1 of tomorrow. My name's Chris McCarthy. Thank you very much for being with us this morning, and thank you very much for being with us this season. It's been a fantastic season, and we are going to conclude it here at Barcelona. Recent restrictions mean we are going to do both rounds here, and the season champion will be crowned by the end of today, tomorrow. So the guys are out on track. They've had a couple of days now to get themselves up to speed around the Barcelona circuit. Very tricky circuit, this one very familiar with a lot of drivers, though. Qualifying, I think we all know as racing fans, absolutely critical around this circuit. It isn't easy to overtake round here, so getting a good spot in qualifying, very important. Before I bring in Elliot Wood, just to quickly run you through the results from yesterday. So Yifei was on pole in qualifying 1. Lucas Dunner alongside the familiar 2 will form the front row. Andreas Essner finishing in 3rd place. A 1:35.6 was the pole time. And Yifei once again quickest in qualifying 2. Cameron Daz, however, the American, will be the driver to start alongside him for race number 2 later on today. Lucas Dunner was in 3rd place, 1:36.1. It's been a hot weekend here, actually. Temperatures in the mid-20s. It's been great conditions to go racing on, and as you can see, temperatures already rising this morning, and up nice and early on myself and Elliot Wood. Elliot, good morning to you. Welcome back to Barcelona. I believe you've been here a couple of times now. Tell us a little bit about what we saw yesterday.
We saw 2 qualifying sessions, 1 point available in each. Obviously, the pole man gets a single point. Yifei took pole in both of those. It was a pretty close battle, though. I think the top 10 was within a second of each other in the first of the 2 sessions. And in the second one, Lucas Dunner put 2 wheels on the gravel up at turn 9, I believe. And that cost him 2 temps. He ended up qualifying 0.245 down on Yifei or something like that. So it was very, very close between them. And obviously, because there's a title battle between these 2, it was a very important battle, and that gap is now up to 86 points. There's now over 100 points left available in this weekend, so still all up for grabs, but Yifei could win it by the end of today. And obviously we've got 2 rookies as well, Rafael Villagomez, who we've just seen on screen, driving for Drive at School, and Matthias Luton at RR Racing. They both ended up on the back row of the grid in the first 2 sessions, or well, 14th and 15th. So hopefully they will improve this morning. Slightly different conditions today because we had a lot of rubber left on the track by Porsche Carrera Cup France and GT Cup Open Europe cars. That took quite a few laps of sweeping for the Euroformula cars to even get up to speed because the grip level had gone because of so much rubber on the track. And we can actually see from our commentary box, down the pit straight, there's like rubber marks all the way down on the grippier side of the track. So it's going to be difficult in those first few minutes, but the time should be up in like the 1:35s, I expect.
We also welcome back, by the way, Louis Foster, who won at Spa last time out. I think looking back on that round, we probably saw what was the best race of the season in race number 2 at Spa. I think most of the viewers who watched that race would agree. It was a very hectic race that saw Louis Foster, Ido Cohen and Glenn Van Berlo, who you see in picture now. The number 12 is now the only driver in the whole championship to finish in the top 10 in every single race this season, after Yifei had that incident in race number 2, which saw him finish outside of the points along with his teammate Lucas Dunner. So fantastic consistency from Glenn Van Berlo. Zane Maloney will feel he has a point to prove coming into this round. He had his worst round of this season last time out. I think going to be a complete full reset for him, but it's great to see Louis Foster back once again. Elliot, let's see what he can do in this one.
Yeah, and obviously he has a teammate once again. It was very difficult at the first half of the year where RR Racing only had 1 car, Verton Simmons. But we saw the effect pretty much straight away as soon as they had 2 cars when Foster and Benjamin Pedersen at Spa were working together. That car got a lot quicker. He's got the slightly less experienced Matthias Luton alongside him this weekend, but it's still going to be extra valuable for getting that setup knowledge as well. And talking to Zane Maloney, Carlin has 2 cars out this weekend, Maloney and Ido Cohen. Cohen has struggled a bit in practice yesterday, but we know he has the pace to match Maloney, who is at the top of the times right now. And they did have plans to have a 3rd car out this weekend for ex-IndyCar racer Jordan King. Unfortunately, that couldn't happen in the same way that Yuki Tsunoda couldn't return at Spa. But, you know, it would have been an exciting addition to the championship. And I think Maloney, you know, and Cohen have got the skills to work on their own and work together to get the pace out of the car. They don't always need a super experienced driver alongside them, however much we love to see these big names join the championship.
Well, there's Yiffy, pole position in both qualifying sessions yesterday. Just to run you through a little bit more of the top 10. So qualifying 1, we know the top 3, but Cruton was 4th, Maldonado 5th, Maloney, Daz, Esner, Van Berlo, Foster, and the top 3 once again, Daz, Dunner in qualifying 2, but then it was Andreas Esner, Maldonado, Cruton, Seb Esner, Van Berlo, Maloney and Foster. Ido Cohen actually struggling in that session, finishing outside of the top 10 in both sessions, so he's got some work to do today, has Ido Cohen. Did you get round to speak to much of the drivers yesterday?
Yeah, I managed to speak to a lot of them. I think there's quite a divergence in strategies this weekend because we have basically the cancelled Hirama round coming across with 2 races, but that also means you get the tyres that would have been for Hirama as well. So especially in qualifying 1, some drivers are like, well, do I save the tyres for the races, because that's where you score the points, or do I want a better qualifying position because overtaking isn't the easiest, as Maloney improves again. And Louis Foster did that. He was in 2nd place, looked like he was in contention for pole, but then he thought, now I'll save my tyres. He ended up qualifying 11th, which didn't help him. So after that, everyone kind of reassessed it and looked around. I think a lot of people had to change car balance as well between session 1 and session 2 because they weren't expecting all this rubber being laid down as well. Cameron Dass was one of those who made a few tweaks and then at the very end of qualifying 2 got his car on the front row. So, you know, the drivers are happy. They're also very happy. It's just, you know, the season can complete the full duration of 18 races because as lockdown, the sequel looms over Europe, there have been a few worrying, you know, noises across the continent.
Well, we, of course, filled one of the other rounds. We did 3 races at a couple of the rounds, so the GT Sport organisation managing to get the full 18 races in, which has been good for the drivers. They had a full season at it, despite the struggles that have hit us in the motorsport community and indeed worldwide. Sebastian Esner currently quickest. Now, if it's taken you up until this point to actually tune into a Euroformula open race, first of all, welcome to it. They're pretty good, aren't they? Pretty quick. These cars, drivers do love them. But one thing I will say is if you look down the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see there's quite big gaps, particularly towards the end of the field, and that's because some people leave it quite late in the session, i.e. the second half, until they really start to turn it up. Nicholas Cruton has gone quickest. Yiffy goes quicker, 136.976, so we're starting to get towards the times we should be expecting. So it's Cruton, Sebastian Esner, Foster, 4th place, 1.5 tenths back. Andreas Esner, Maloney, Dunner, Maldonado, Daz, and Bardagnon. Half an hour session. Often drivers will wait until kind of the half-time point or second half when they're in for a pit stop and then back out again until we really start to turn it up. Here comes Manuel Maldonado down the start-finish straight, and he goes quickest, 136.506. Good time from Manuel Maldonado, and he was 5th in the first session yesterday with a 136.3, so starting to turn it up. 2 5ths for him in qualifying so far. Currently, he's at the top of the pile as we see Andreas Esner purple through the first 2 sectors, Elliot, and coming on to the start-finish straight.
Yeah, and those first 2 sectors are actually going to be the hardest this weekend. From our commentary box, and as you can see here, there's a load of shadow going across the pit straight, and because of how long the straight is, you're losing tyre temp all the way. When you get to turn 1 and turn 2, obviously very high speed, but it's actually quite difficult to build temperature into the front tyres, which means the car's quite understeery through the first sector. Through the second sector, you know, you're putting a lot of energy into the tyres, and they can actually get pretty much worn out by the time you get to sector 3. So it's really a balancing act here, and why when they do 2 runs, we're about to see Yiffy cross the line. They do make a few setup tweaks to kind of change the balance as the track gets quicker. They need to make sure the car suits the track conditions rather than just being the fastest car available, so they can make the tyres last a full warm-up lap and a full push lap as well.
Yiffy quickest then, 136.250. Manuel Maldonado, second place. Andreas Essner starting to turn it up. We're good to see him end on a high, just like he started the season. Here comes Maldonado now into the final chicane and onto the start-finish straight. He had a great round last time out. Let's see if he can carry that form over into this final round of the season. He makes his way down the start-finish straight. Maldonado across the line, and it's a 136.344. That's around the time he did yesterday, so good stuff from Maldonado. He goes second. We got Sebastian Essner now improving. He's coming onto the start finish straight in your picture as we can see him onto the start finish straight. Purple for Sebastian Essner, and he goes third, 136.345. Very close times, a little bit closer than I expected actually, as down the straight I can see Louis Foster about to cross the line, and he goes into 7th place.
Yeah, Louis Foster was quicker than anyone in the first sector, but couldn't hook it up together there at the end. I think he actually had traffic with one of the Van Amersfoort cars that cost him time, so he's now down to 8th as Dunner improves as well. He's in 7th place. Andreas Essner is actually the only driver who hasn't improved on their most recent lap, which is quite an interesting stat. Matthias Luton's still in the pits. He has done 5 laps though, and he's currently 3 seconds off the pace. This is a pretty good job for Luton because, you know, he's embedding himself with the team. He's still embedding himself with the car. As we see Yiffy about to cross the line, and he improves again, a 36.012. Might break into the 1 minute 35s before we even get to the pit stops.
Yeah, that's where it was a 135.6 in the first qualifying, quicker than the second yesterday. And the first qualifying session took place at 11:26 yesterday. Just over 13 minutes to go. Some of you, as we are at the season finale, are probably wondering what the score is in the championship. I'd say the reason we haven't gone too big on it this morning is because it's almost tied up. Yiffy can pretty much wrap it up in the first race this morning. He leads by, now in terms of the points, you can drop 2 races. So that's not 2 full rounds, that's just your lowest 2 scores from the championship. So 2 races in total. And after that, Yiffy has 276. This is on my maths, by the way. 202 for Dunner. So there's a gap of 74 points. And yeah, he's already put 2 more points to his name there, putting him up to 278 with the 2 pole positions. And then the battle that we're going to focus on is the battle for 3rd place, which includes Andreas Essner, Nicholas Cruton, Ido Cohen, and Manuel Maldonado. They are split by just 30 points after drop scores. So it's going to be very close indeed between those guys. It's going to be maths in the commentary box on the spot, but we will do our best to keep it up to date for you. Now, it's quite weird because the really consistent drivers, drop scores kind of work against them, and then the drivers who have had, say, 2 DNFs kind of comes into their favour a little bit. So it's a real balancing act in Euroformula Open. You have to be really consistent, but you have to be really consistently scoring high points all the time. It's this is again on my maths, it's 137 for Essner, Nicholas Cruton 128, 109 for Cohen, 107 for Maldonado. So very close indeed. We'll keep an eye on it as the weekend goes on. That's where our focus is. Yiffy can wrap up things this morning in the title fight. Dunner, who of course has missed 2 rounds, just has too much of a gap to close, but he will look to end on a high. Nothing is over though. As much as we say that, all could go wrong for Yiffy this weekend. He just needs to keep a calm head and bring it home today, go into tomorrow as the official champion. So everyone's coming to the pits. That's not because we have a red flag or a full course yellow. That is because this is the usual system in Euroformula Open. Elliot, they now come in, do some changes, and then they'll go back out again for a final run. So what are the usual things the teams are getting up to at this stage of the session?
You might tweak a little bit front wing to increase the downforce or decrease downforce, depending where you want to go with that. Often they change tyres. I don't think they would at present because the pit straight is so much in shadow. You know, you probably haven't put too much energy into the existing set already. And after yesterday as well, potentially, they've already got enough spare tyres. Also, they're just going to be, kind of shoving a laptop underneath the halo to the drivers and going, this is what you've been doing at these corners, change this on your second run, and then you'll find a few more temps. Drivers are coming back on track very slowly. That's Zane Maloney and Ido Cohen in the 2 Carlin cars. They've been first on track in most of the sessions this weekend. Hasn't necessarily worked well for them, whereas we've seen the Crypto Tower cars have kind of waited and waited and waited, then come out and got up to speed very quickly. We do see, very different strategies here. Be interesting actually to see how quick they can go without any kind of slipstream when they're on their own. And then once more cars come into play, if we see lap times improve consistently, and especially the speed trap figures as well.
How would you assess their season overall, Carlin? In terms of the championship, by the way, Cohen is 5th, Maloney 7th.
I think both have done a very good job because they're both Formula 4 graduates and they haven't usually had an experienced driver to learn from. Obviously, the Dallara 320 is a new car, so it's been a learning experience for everyone across this paddock. And pre-season testing was interrupted by lockdown, so people didn't get the mileage they necessarily intended to. People didn't really know what they could do with testing, actually, because some circuits were open, but we just weren't sure, what was allowed and what wasn't. I think overall it's been a difficult one for them, they'll admit that, but they've shown the pace that they can fight at the front, and that's the important thing, because if you know you can be there, you can build on that. If you don't know it, then you don't know where you can build on and where you can improve.
And some people might have just heard those points and said, well, if it's a brand new car and it's kind of a level playing field in that sense, why is Yifige so far ahead? Well, we've got to remember he's been in single-seater racing since 2015. He's been doing this a long time now. Lucas Dunner has also been in this championship for a while. This is not his first year doing this championship. He was 3rd last year. So those two in the Crypto Tower Racing team may be a new team coming into this, but they've got a lot of experience between them. You've got to think 8-9 years maybe of single-seater racing between those two drivers, and then you've got to add Rui Andrade into that as well. So it's almost up to a 10-year experience between all 3 drivers.
Right.
You compare that to Carlin, Zane Maloney, this is his 2nd year, and Ido Cohen, this is probably his 3rd season, having come up from F4. So, yeah, not a lot of experience at all. They're really down on experience, and that's the same for a lot of the teams. And I think for Yifige and Lucas Dunner coming across from, FIA F3, that experience has really shown this season.
It's not just driver experience that builds to it. It is kind of driver experience. In that Crypto Tower have a certain Tom Dillman behind the scenes all the time. He raced in F3 back in 2010, 2011, I believe.
He was very good in F3.
F3 Euro Series. Went up to GP2 with Motor Park. Then it was known as Russian time for 1 year. Then he actually won the Formula V8 3.5 title here. Very dramatic. But throughout all that time, he's been working with Motor Park and basically helping develop their setup. And they've got a very specific philosophy. You talk to any of the Crypto Tower drivers, talk to the Motor Park drivers. There's a certain amount of movement around the rear axle. A car that oversteers a little bit more is easier to get into the right window than a car that's understeery, and you try and put it into where you want it to be there. So Motor Park have kind of optimized that, and with 6 cars with the Crypto Tower Racing team as well, it's a lot quicker to get to the setup solution you want. Whereas with Carlin, they've only got 2. Double R have only had 1 for a lot of seasons. Same in Drive at School. They did have 2 this weekend and a few weekends ago as well. Van Amersfoort Racing has had 3, and obviously they've got a lot of experience in Formula 3 racing as well. So that feeds into it. Additionally, Barcelona obviously is kind of the #1 test circuit in Europe. It's got high-speed corners, low-speed corners, long straights, cold temperatures and warm temperatures, depending when you come. So this is kind of the best circuit to measure where your setup is for all other circuits, and also how to use the tyres as well, because as we see in this morning, it's a very different demand on those tyres, and it's going to be in the middle of the day, or even in the evening when the sun's setting and you have it pointing down the pit straight, that it does warm up as well.
We look at Ido Cohen now making his way down the back straight and towards turn 10. This is where the track gets really tricky, isn't it? You make one mistake through this section and it disrupts the whole sector, isn't it? It's a real flowing section, even though it's a lot of stop-starts in it. Here's Glenn van Berlo. He's been very impressive this season. Manuel Maldonado's done pretty well.
got 5 minutes to go, and there's still been no improvements by anyone on their second runs. We saw the same thing in Q2. I think in Q1, actually, Ido Cohen got very up to speed quickly after his pit stop. But in fact, we are seeing a personal best, and who's that by? None other than Ido Cohen in the middle sector, as Matthias Luton actually does set his personal best lap. He's currently in 15th, but he's 2.3 seconds off the pace. That's only 1.6, I think, off his teammate Louis Foster, so he's improving, and we're seeing him on screen now. Very flash orange and black livery.
Yes, it's pretty easy to spot. Benjamin Pedersen was running that livery last time, and that's because it's his delivery of his dad's racing team back in the US, and Luton has gone with something similar. It was great to speak to those guys last time. Here comes Luton locking up. And
his teammate Louis Foster has actually just jumped up to 4th in the times, 0.392 seconds off Ye. So he's improved by 4 tenths. So we're probably going to expect at least 4 tenths improvements from everyone else as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He may have jumped up to 4th, but will he stay there? He's going to probably have to find a little bit more time.
Ido Cohen goes fastest of anyone in the middle sector, so he could jump right up the order with this lap.
Let's have a look then. Matthias Luton, we're following him currently. He's improving. We now go towards Alexandre Bardignon. Bardignon sitting in 13th place, but he also improving, the number 25, as we come in towards the final sector of the circuit, out towards the final corner. Alexandre Bardignon will hope to finish with his best result of the season as he makes his way onto the start-finish straight. Ido Cohen is up to 2nd place, 136.1. Bardignon goes 11th. Luton coming up behind him. Will he make an improvement himself? He does, 137.394. Brings him up to 14th place, leaving Glenn Van Berlo at the back of the field.
And his teammate Louis Foster has gone fastest of anyone in the middle sector. He's coming around kind of to the top of the circuit as the final few corners. He's going to enter the final chicane now. There's probably 2 of the trickiest corners as well, because it suddenly goes downhill when it's a slightly off-camber corner, as we see him on screen. Up in the middle sector. He was down in the first sector, though, even though it was a personal improvement. We're about to see him cross the line. He's currently in 5th place. He moves up to provisional pole position, a 1:35.871, a 10th up on Ye.
That's a very good time. That's 2 tenths off the best time we saw yesterday. Louis Foster in provisional pole position, 1:35.871. He did very good in qualifying at Spa, put it on the 2nd row. Here's Andreas Essner getting a little bit loose through the chicane. He's now about to make his way onto the start-finish straight. He's currently in 8th place, 7 tenths down. His brother Sebastian goes to 2nd, and he goes to provisional pole. 1st and 3rd then for the Essner brothers at the moment, but there is still 2 minutes to go. Andreas Essner quickest, 1:35.797. We're now only a 10th off the quickest time from yesterday. Cohen is now making his way around the final corner. Ido Cohen up to the line. He's 5th currently. Can he improve? Yes, he does. 1:35.936.
And Louis Foster's now going fastest in the first sector. Essner obviously on pole. I think he kept his foot down on the throttle there when he got loose out of the final chicane. Just didn't even flinch on the steering wheel either. Lovely stuff to see.
Well, Louis Foster, as you said, is up. Andreas Essner is up through the first sector as well. Got to keep an eye on Ye. He is now personal best. Louis Foster going quicker on this lap. This is where I told you, when we get to the end of session, that's when things all kick off. And this is being demonstrated now in this 3rd qualifying session, which sets the grid for the first race tomorrow. Louis Foster around the final corner. He is about to come across the line. Will he be able to get from the outside of the front row to the inside? Yes, he does. 1:35.498. That's the quickest time we've now seen in a qualifying session this weekend.
And what's Essner's response going to be? He is fastest in the first 2 sectors. Maldonado, personal best to go 2nd place, 0.133 off. Essner has actually been beaten in the middle sector by Ye. Essner is coming through the final corner now. He is about to cross the line.
No, he's run wide. Yep, so that's 2 laps destroyed, and that's his session effectively over. What a shame. But Sebastian Essner's gone quickest, 1:35.443. But Andreas Essner, his chances of taking a pole position have just been destroyed with that one mistake, and he will be 4th at best.
Yeah, and he's already slowed down, so he's not going to use the next lap to take pole over.
No, that's it. His session's done. Yeffier, as we expected, 1:35.212. He now goes to the top of the times. Who else have we got improving? Bardignon's improving. Daz is improving. Also, Glenn Van Berlo improving. Manuel Maldonado is improving as well. Here's a look at a replay and just got it too quick out of the chicane. Got on the sausage curb, and that's the end of the session for Andreas Essner. We haven't seen Zane Maloney for a while. We now pick him up. He's going a little bit slower through the first sector, but he's got 2 sectors to make up for that. He currently sits in 10th place. He'll want to move up the field. Zane Maloney did better than this in qualifying yesterday, so we know he's got the pace. Let's see if he can pull a lap together on this final run, as Lucas Dunner is now going quickest through the first sector.
Yeah, and Dunner is teammate to Yeffier at Crypto Tower, the only driver who can deny him the title at present. So this will be crucial if he can steal away the point for pole position from Ye here. I think that is actually Ye in the background behind Dunner. Dunner has got a car ahead of him. This might cost him through the final sector. That's
Zane Maloney, who is on a flying lap. I think he'll just about get away with this, because let's have a look at Zane Maloney. He's actually improving, so he's going quicker on this lap. Foster has crossed the line. Maldonado likewise. Daz as well. Sebastian Essner comes across the line. No improvement. We're waiting to see who's going to take pole. Is it going to be Yeffier? Is it going to be Lucas Dunner? As Andreas Essner comes into the pits, Lucas Dunner decides to come in. Strange decision. Must have made a mistake somewhere. Zane Maloney ahead is going to go across the line and retake 10th place after briefly dropping back. And Yeffier goes across the line, does not find any improvement, but he will not need to. Van Berlo, Bardignon is yet to cross the line. Cohen now comes across the line, and he will be 9th at best. We wait to see Bardignon and Luton cross the line. Bardignon goes across the line, no improvement. Matthias Luton in the background, he now comes out of the final corner. He'd need a big improvement as he comes across the line and can't find it. So, for the 3rd time this weekend, Yeffier is going to be on pole position. 1:35.212 is the pole time. And a brilliant performance from the man alongside him, Sebastian Essner. What a qualifying from him. He was 8th and 7th yesterday. He puts it on the front row, and I think that may even be his best qualifying performance of the season. Lucas Dunner in 3rd place. Louis Foster once again finishing 4th like he did at Spa. Maldonado in 5th place, continuing that top 5 run. Cameron Daz in 6th. Andreas Essner 7th place, where he qualified in one of the races at Spa. Cruton 8th. Cohen, Maloney outside of the top 10. Rui Andrade, Glenn Van Berlo, Alexandra Bardignon, and then our 2 new entries for this weekend, Rafael Villa-Gomez and Matthias Luton. That is qualifying 3 done. The 3rd race of the weekend will take place tomorrow at 12:30. They will have their 4th qualifying session tomorrow morning. For the rest of the day, it is 2 races. We're going to be live at 12:10 local time here in Spain and 5 minutes past 4. That is the man who's going to start on pole position when we go racing first thing tomorrow. And indeed, for both races today, it's a hat-trick of pole positions. Can he make it 4 out of 4 tomorrow? But how about Sebastian Essner, the rookie, qualifying all the way on the front row? The next rookie is Nicolas Cruton down in 8th place. The rookie title being led by Cruton. He's on 118 points with Van Berlo on 94. Sebastian Essner on 84. So in a fight really for 2nd place in the rookie classification, with Van Berlo down in 12th. Essner has got a really good chance here to get himself a rookie win. It would be his 4th of the season if he could do so. Took rookie wins at the Ongara Ring, Red Bull Ring and Spa. Can he take a 4th tomorrow? He's got a very good chance to do that with that qualifying performance. Andreas Essner, though, he will only feel he could have potentially joined his brother on the front row if he hadn't have made that mistake. Hence, he is down in 7th place, so he will be disappointed with that. But it's the sight we are now used to seeing. Yeffier on pole position. We'll be hearing from him very shortly. Business as usual here at Barcelona as he climbs out of the car. And indeed, it's 3 for this weekend to add to the huge number he has for this season as he now walks over to get himself weighed. Pretty interesting qualifying session, that one. Sebastian Essner up on the front row. We've got Ye and Lucas Dunner starting behind each other. Then we've got Foster looking to add to that win. Maldonado 5th. So here's going to be the man who starts on pole position for race number 3 tomorrow, and indeed both races today. Yefei with a 1:35.212 takes pole position here at Barcelona. Let's go down and hear from him now.
Yefei, yeah, a very busy weekend in Barcelona, the final weekend. And so far, everything is going perfectly for you with this 3rd pole now, just now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have been quick throughout the weekend, and but we kept working to find more time on the track, and which we did. So that's why we can still keep doing the pole position. Yeah, very happy about it. 3 pole out of 3. So yeah, focus on this afternoon 2 races, and hopefully we can do a good start and bring it back home.
And of course, the conditions pretty different during the day. It's still early, so it's a little bit humid, but then it will be sunshine and dry track.
Yeah, I mean, it's never easy. So the track revolution is still a lot. We had to adapt from the beginning until the end, but yeah, we are used to this, and yeah, so good.
Very close now to the main objective, the title.
Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully we can finish the season on a good result.
I hope so for you. Well done.
Good to hear from Yefei, and that is it for qualifying. 2 races coming up today. The first of them at 12:10 local time here in Spain, and the second at 4:05. Can Yefei crown himself champion today? You'll have to find out at 12:10 when we go live for race number 1. Until then, it's goodbye.